I see Anand is also joining. Let me start sharing my screen. Can you confirm that you're able to see the screen? Okay. Shubham, if you can confirm if the screen is visible properly.
Yes, Akhil, it is visible to me.
All
Yes, sir,
right.
it's visible.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys for confirming. Hey, good morning, Anand. Anand, are you able to hear me? I'm not sure if you're speaking on mute, Anand.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anand, if you could also switch on your camera, that is possible. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining on in time. And since we all are here on time, I respect your time. Uh, I would go ahead and start with our session. Meanwhile, if somebody else comes in, they would be admitted into the session. Right. So with that, good morning again, and welcome to the Awaken Your Inner Tester 5 days WhatsApp workshop. Here, what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the nitty-gritties of QA environment, of the QA world, of the IT world, and we'll talk about the things that are going to help you become a pro tester. So you have to be following along with the whole course, the 5 day course. I would be giving you assignments. I would be giving you activities that you have to work on your own. And then on the next day, we would be reviewing those. Hey, good morning, Priyanka. All right. So with that, what I would like to do is very quickly give an insight about our company, about our co-founders, about myself, and then we will jump on into the session. All right. So, uh, Priyanka, you are able to hear me? I don't
Yes,
know.
sir.
All right, Shivam. I was actually asking for Priyanka. I still don't see she's still connecting to the audio. Okay. Priyanka, good morning. You able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah.
All right. So with QAGENIC, so we established in 2021. We are an ISTQB affiliated organization, and on the training side of it, we have a global reach in India, US, Canada, Singapore, Australia. So we have taught students from all of these countries. Very quickly talking about who we are individually, all of the three co-founders, Akhil, which is myself, and we also have Vishal here, and then Nimit. All of us have individually 20 years of experience in the industry, and these are some of the brands that we have worked along, and this is the experience that we bring along when we are training you guys in these sessions. Talking about the different departments that we have in QAGENIC, one of those is the managed testing services, through which we are catering to the uh, on our international clients, Indian clients, and my team is working aggressively on these projects. So that is the first department that we hold. The second is the software training services, through which we are imparting a lot of trainings to freshers, to experienced professionals. And then the third one is the manpower consulting. So specifically, I'll be very quickly touching base on the different services, the different trainings that we provide on from the software training services department. So from the QA side, you will have all of these manual testing, automation testing trainings, API manual, API automation, database, your trainings that you would see coming in from QAGenic. And from the dev side, we have full stack developers. Then you have individual development trainings that you can opt for. Apart from that, we also train on DevOps, on the business analyst side, on the Jira admin side of it. So I would not go more detail into it, and we will be sticking to our agenda, the 5 day agenda that we all are here for. Let me just quickly check if somebody is waiting in the lobby. I don't see, so we are good. So today we are going to talk about the day one things, and we are going to talk about what QA is, what software testing is, and how you can help yourself in becoming a pro software tester. I would be giving you some guru mantras, some tips that would help you become that pro software tester. All right. So Shubham, Anand, or Priyanka, what you guys think software testing is?
Sir, actually in software testing field, we just check the software. If any applications client requirement is to find out the particular software that is a bug free. So we when we launch the application, we firstly find that the application is totally bug free. So client is 100% satisfied. So actually we check the software at a various level. At the end मतलब starting से ही हम software को check करते हैं with the help of some tools like a Jira or many other tools. So we deliver a 100% bug-free product to the customer. So
Very
that
good.
is a software testing, sir.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Are we all comfortable with Hindi and English? If I can deliver the session in English, a mix of English and Hindi, is that okay?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. ठीक है. That is great. All right. Thank you, Shubham. काफी अच्छी definition थी आपकी. Anybody else, Priyanka or Anand, if you want to pitch in?
No, sir, I don't know.
All right. Okay. So what Shubham explained is very, very correct in telling that we have to ensure that the client requirements are met. And then the application that we are delivering back to the end customer, that application is bug free. ठीक है, बड़ी अच्छी definition है. Officially, theoretically good. But when you are talking practical, when you are talking from my experience, I would want to define software testing like we have to break the application. As a QA, as a tester, when I am in my job is to find defects. My job is to make test all the possible scenarios, test all the possible workflows, and I want to break the application. Okay, because when I break the application, when I am testing, when the application is in the QA environment, वहां पर defects मिलेंगे. अच्छा है. Once we deploy the application, once the live users have started using the application, if they start finding defects on the production, on the live environment, my job is at risk. The first person to be questioned would be the QA. भैया क्यों आपको टेस्टिंग का टाइम मिला, आपको टेस्टिंग का पैसा दिया हमने, अभी भी डिफेक्ट्स क्यों मिल रहे हैं? Right? So for you to become a pro tester, ठीक है, go with the theoretical definition. ठीक है, you have to stick to the requirements given by the client. You have to find defects. But theoretically, when you have to become a pro tester, practically when you have to become a pro tester, you have to ensure that you are breaking the application. Once you break the application, you are going to find defects. जिस दिन आपकी एप्लीकेशन आप 6 महीने हो गए आप एप्लीकेशन को यूज कर रहे हो, टेस्ट कर रहे हो, एंड यू स्टॉप फाइंडिंग डिफेक्ट्स, रेज योर हैंड, गो एंड टेल टू द क्लाइंट कि भैया बस टेस्टिंग हो चुकी है, आई एम वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट इनफ, नाउ लेट्स पुट दिस एप्लीकेशन इनटू प्रोडक्शन. Okay, so that is what we do, how we define software, what software testing is. Now what are the things that we need to test? क्या क्या चीजें होती हैं जो अपन टेस्ट करते हैं? You guys able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the different things that you can test. The first thing is that you can test the web applications. For example, Amazon की जो web application है, Flipkart की जो web application है, that you browse, that you access through your browsers. And then you have your desktop applications, like this whole Microsoft PowerPoint that I'm using, Microsoft ka pura Office suite. So those are your desktop applications which get installed on your PCs. So that is the second type of the applications that you would normally see that you need to test. Then you have the mobile apps. With the growing usage of mobiles, tablets, the number of mobile applications that are released are huge. So the mobile applications become the third thing that you can test when you are in a software testing environment. Okay. And why to test? बिना टेस्ट करे भी तो कर सकते हैं. The developers are smart enough. They are already coding properly. They have their own intelligence that they're putting into coding. So what is the reason that we still need कि testing करनी पड़ेगी अपन को? Yeah, guys, if I can again request you all to please switch on your camera because it gets more interactive. Else it would be like more of me speaking to myself. Or I thank Shubham. He has kept his camera on. And let's make it interactive. Wherever you find wherever you have a question, you can raise your hand and ask your question. I don't want to have all the questions answered at the end. All right. Okay. So why to test? The first thing is करना ही क्यों है? अब आप
सर
अपने आप yes शुभम
सर एक्चुअली हम टेस्टिंग इसलिए करते हैं क्योंकि हम किसी भी एप्लीकेशन को डिप्लॉय अगर डायरेक्ट कर देंगे तो इट इज मतलब हमारे लिए काफी कॉस्टली हो जाएगा, क्योंकि एप्लीकेशन भी वेस्ट हो जाएगा और क्लाइंट का पैसा भी चले जाएगा. सो अगर हम उसको स्टार्टिंग से ही चेक करेंगे तो एट द एंड हमें अच्छी एप्लीकेशन मिलेगी और उसका कॉस्टिंग भी कम हो जाएगा. सो दैट्स व्हाई वी परफॉर्म टेस्टिंग.
Great. Good. Very, very good point, Shubham. That is what you see here. Cost effectiveness as the second point listed on my slide. That is exactly what you said. Okay, so let me first go in and discuss the security aspect. ठीक है, as you guys have seen, आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा almost a year or a couple years back, we heard this news coming कि Facebook जो है, it uses all of our data and it sends all of our data to Britannica. Britannica
Yes.
Encyclopedia, one of the organizations in UK, which again uses our data for their own advertisement, own marketing purposes. Okay, then that particular incident raised a huge security risk on Facebook, which very closely even came down of shutting down their businesses. But somehow those folks got saved. But then that gives us this alarm कि जितना अपना data है that we have on our apps, that we have on our uh, uh, different e-commerce websites, we have our credit card, our debit card informations, our UPI numbers saved on Amazon, on Flipkart, on Paytm, on Google Pay. How secure is all of this information? हमारे अकाउंट के अंदर इतना पैसा पड़ा है, there are hackers that are like roaming around डेली बेसिस पे स्कैम सुनने को आ रहे हैं. So the first and the foremost thing that goes in as an agenda for the testers is to ensure that security is built into the system, built into the application that we are testing. आपने टेस्टिंग कर लिया, आपने बोला कि ठीक है रिक्वायरमेंट के हिसाब से सब सही चल रहा है, क्लाइंट ने मेरे को बोला 2+2 शुड गिव मी 4, 2+2 इज गिविंग मी 4, बट क्या मेरा डेटा, क्या मेरा इनपुट 2 और 2 का और क्या मेरा आउटपुट 4 का, कैन दिस बी एक्सेस्ड बाय एनीबडी एल्स इन द वर्ल्ड? मेरा डेटा अगर सिक्योर ही नहीं है, रिक्वायरमेंट तो कर लिया बट माय एप्लीकेशन वुड नॉट बी देन यूज्ड बाय एनीबडी. सो सिक्योरिटी बिकम्स अ ह्यूज फैक्टर in telling that why we should be testing any application. And then the second point is the cost effectiveness, which Shubham explained a little while ago very nicely, that client is paying us for the testing activities. We have we build a complete team, the QA team, who is responsible for testing out all the requirements for the app, for the client. अगर वो करने के बाद भी हमारे को जब हमारी एप्लीकेशन लाइव होती है, हमारे एंड यूजर्स when they are using this application they start finding defects. तो क्या होगा? The first thing, if we are on the other side of it, when we use an application और अपन को issue मिलता है, what is it that we do? आनंद, प्रियंका, आपने कोई एप्लीकेशन, आपने Amazon यूज करना चालू किया, आपने कोई प्रोडक्ट सिलेक्ट किया, कार्ट के अंदर ऐड किया, बट आप उसको बाई नहीं कर पा रहे हो, आप क्या करते हो? चलो लेट मी हेल्प यू गाइस. यू कॉल इन द कस्टमर केयर. या आनंद, बोलो बोलो.
सर अगर अगर उसमें कोई एरर रहेगा, अगर या कुछ रहेगा तो उसमें कुछ बग आ जाते हैं, जैसे रुक जाते हैं, और फिर अगर उसमें क्या कहते हैं क्लाइंट का पैसा भी चला जाता है, यानी कि उसको एक तरीके से कर सकते हैं कि सर जैसे कि कोई पेमेंट किए रुक गया, ये भी बोल सकते हैं सर, कोई बग आ गया उसमें.
हाँ देखो, आपने पेमेंट किया, आपने एक प्रोडक्ट खरीद लिया, अभी अमेजन का ये बिग बिलियन डेज चल रहा है, फ्लिपकार्ट का बिग बिलियन डेज चल रहा है, अमेजन का ग्रेट शॉपिंग फेस्टिवल चल रहा है. आपने एक प्रोडक्ट खरीद लिया, पैसा पे कर दिया, बट आपको आपके माई ऑर्डर्स में दिख ही नहीं रहा है. तो आपका फर्स्ट इंस्टिंक्ट क्या बोलेगा कि यार कस्टमर केयर को फोन करो, यार उनको पूछो क्या है। ठीक है, तो
Yes,
अगर
sir.
आपकी एप्लीकेशन आपने टेस्ट नहीं करी है ड्यूरिंग द टेस्टिंग साइकिल प्रॉपरली एंड देन योर एप्लीकेशन इज हैविंग बग्स, जो आपके लाइव यूजर्स अब दे आर फिगरिंग दोज आउट, तो आपका जो कस्टमर सपोर्ट की जो टीम होगी दैट इज गोइंग टू बी ह्यूज. You would probably have 5 QA testers in your team versus then you would be having 50 support engineers on the call center. So the cost effectiveness of the whole project would get like buried out. If you have 50 people supporting the work that these 5 folks from the QA side did for the last 6 months, it is not cost effective. The minimum number of bugs that go out into the production when the live users are using your application, the minimum number of defects that they find, utni choti aapki, then you will have your support team, the call
Support.
center.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is how we see the cost effectiveness side of it. Then the product quality and the customer satisfaction. So these are two different points actually, but then they are tied and integrated very closely to each other. So that is the reason why you see it listed down on one single point here. Product quality. When you, let's say again, let's take the example of Amazon, since we're talking about Amazon. Let's say you bought a new LED TV. Okay, then and you took a risk of buying buying a very new brand, let's say brand XYZ, which is not Sony, which is not Samsung, which is not LG, not a renowned brand, but because of the offers or because of uh, uh, the price, you bought this XYZ LED TV. Okay, if the product quality is really good, you would be a satisfied customer. If the product quality is not good, you have already spent like 20,000, 15,000 in buying that LED TV, but the product quality is not good, you are not going to be a satisfied customer. And if you're not going to be a satisfied customer, what would happen? You would never be recommending your friends ki yaar XYZ ka TV kharid lo. And then
Yes,
the
sir.
second thing is you are going to talk negative about this particular brand. आप जाके अपने दोस्तों को बोलोगे भाई XYZ का बिल्कुल नहीं खरीदना, LG का ही खरीद ले यार, सोनी का ही खरीद ले. ठीक है, on the other side of it, this is a new brand XYZ, product quality is like top most. आपको मजा आ गया कि जहां सोनी का टीवी आपको 1 लाख रुपए का मिल रहा था, वहां पे आपको ये सेम टीवी सेम फीचर्स आपको 15,000 में मिल गए. यू आर अ सेटिस्फाइड कस्टमर. यू आर गोइंग टू रिकमेंड इट टू ऑल ऑफ योर फ्रेंड्स कि यार ये बढ़िया टीवी है. And then down the line, 6 months down the line, you think ki, there is another need of having another TV in a different room. So what you would do, rather than again going for Sony, you would say कि यार ये वाला टीवी बहुत बढ़िया चल रहा है, I will go again for this same TV, same XYZ TV. So product quality, if the product quality is good, you will have your satisfied customers. You will have repeat business coming in from these satisfied customers. You would have good word of mouth from these satisfied customers. If the product quality is bad, okay, all of this would not happen. The customers would not be happy. Okay, what would again happen is if the product quality is not good, it would trigger back to the QA team. अगर product के अंदर quality ही नहीं है, तो what is the whole purpose of developing, testing such applications? ठीक है, तो this is the responsibility again of the QA team, of the testing team, that they have to ensure that whatever requirements are being given by the client, which are developed by the developers, should be of utmost quality. सिर्फ 2+2 = 4 कर दिया, उससे मजा नहीं आता. आपको ये इंश्योर करना है, क्लाइंट ने बोला 2+2 = 4 दिखाना है मेरे को, बट क्या करेगा अगर अगर कोई बंदा आता है, एंड यूजर तो कुछ भी कर सकता है, 2+3 डाल देगा. 2+3 क्लाइंट ने मेरे को बताया नहीं है कि क्या करना है, बट इफ यू एज अ क्यूए इंश्योर्स कि 2+3 पे मैं उसको एक करेक्ट आंसर दूं, दैट इज हाउ द कस्टमर वुड बी सेटिस्फाइड. करना उसको 2+2 ही था, बट उसने 2+3 भी कर देख लिया, एंड ही इज गेटिंग द आउटपुट. He definitely would be a happy customer. So these are few points that you should keep in mind when you are testing an application, that you have to ensure that security is being tested, the whole application is cost effective, and then you ensure that the product quality and customer satisfaction is achieved. Okay, this is apart from you as a testers testing, ensuring that the requirements are correct. Okay, these are your added responsibilities. So when you go out into the market, start testing your applications, make sure that you have all of these on your priority list. Okay, so moving on. ठीक है, we have talked about कि हमको requirements टेस्ट करनी होती हैं, हमको कैसे टेस्ट करना होता है, but exactly how और what to test from. आपको एप्लीकेशन दे दिया किसी ने, आपके सीनियर ने आपको एप्लीकेशन दे दिया कि टेस्ट करो यार शुभम, टेस्ट करो आनंद, तो आप करोगे क्या? द
यस
गो
सर,
टू डॉक्यूमेंट या
एक्सप्लोर करके एप्लीकेशन को चेक करते हैं कि कहाँ पे
करेक्ट,
क्या ऑप्शन है, क्या फंक्शनैलिटी है।
राइट, दैट इज वन वे ऑफ डूइंग इट. एंड यू डू एक्सप्लोरेटरी टेस्टिंग शुभम व्हेन यू डोंट हैव द रिक्वायरमेंट्स. ठीक है, and that is a very valid point, and it happens that all the applications that you would be testing would not necessarily have requirements written down very properly. So in that case, you have to explore, you have to see कि अच्छा application क्या है, and then from that you understand what the application is, and then start finding defects. But when you have requirements or when you have the user stories, that is your reference point. आप वो उठाओगे, उसके अगेंस्ट आप अपनी एप्लीकेशन को टेस्ट करोगे.
ओके,
ठीक है, when you don't have your requirements, then in that case you do exploratory testing. ठीक है, but with exploratory testing what happens is that since you are not sure exactly की requirement क्या है, you're basically exploring, understanding what has been already built, and from that understanding you would be doing your testing, which is a risky thing. In that, why would that be a risky thing? But why would that be a risky thing is because you are unsure of the requirement. हो सकता है जो developer ने develop किया that was incorrect, which the client never wanted, but when you are seeing what you have in the application you would understand from that only. तो वही आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी, आप बोलोगे कि अच्छा ये ऐसे ऐसे बना रखा है डेवलपर ने, तो ये ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. बट क्लाइंट ने वो मांगा है नहीं मांगा है आपको पता ही नहीं है, क्योंकि रिक्वायरमेंट ही नहीं है आपके पास. So that is a risk that is associated with exploratory testing. But how do you mitigate that risk? There are no options until and unless you have requirements. And in cases when you don't have requirements, you are bound to take that risk doing exploratory testing. But when you are starting from a very fresh project, in the given days, when you are using the agile methodology, you would definitely have the user stories with you. The user stories are very short, crisp, single line description of a feature that is going to be developed. That is your requirement. So the requirement or the user stories become your reference point from where you would go and write your test cases, execute those test cases. And when you're executing your test cases, your requirements would be telling you what you should be expecting from the application. अगर जो रिक्वायरमेंट बोल रही है एप्लीकेशन वैसा ही बिहेव कर रही है, यू वुड से ऑल इज गुड, वी कैन प्रोसीड. if the application is not in alignment with the requirements or with the user stories, you would say no, this is not working properly as to what was said, this is a defect. तो आप डिफेक्ट लॉक करोगे, डेवलपर फिक्स करेगा, and then once that defect is fixed and once your application and user stories are in alignment, you would say now we are good, let's move ahead. Okay, so the only reference point that you can test from or should test from is your requirements or your user stories. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आप कुछ टेस्ट कर रहे हो, आपको समझ नहीं आया, आप अपने सीनियर के पास में, अपने लीड के पास, मैनेजर के पास में गए, विदाउट सीइंग द रिक्वायरमेंट्स से, इसकी नहीं यार ये ऐसे ही चलता है, पिछले मैंने तो भैया 15 साल से मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, हर एप्लीकेशन में ऐसा ही होता है, ये ठीक है चलने दो. दैट इज नॉट द आइडल वे, दैट इज नॉट हाउ द एप्लीकेशंस, हाउ द क्यूए वर्क्स. ठीक है, सीनियरिटी के बेसिस पे नहीं चलती है, रिक्वायरमेंट के बेसिस पे आपकी टेस्टिंग चलती है, राइट?
यस सर.
Okay, so how to test? When you are into the testing activities, how do you test? So you guys have already looked at the screen points. If you still want to make any additions to it, batao, else I would be explaining all these. All right, no problem. Okay, the first and the foremost thing again is the requirement. So understanding your requirements or the user stories will give you a complete idea of what the application is. ठीक है, आप एक एक यूजर स्टोरी उठाओगे, एक एक रिक्वायरमेंट उठाओगे, on each requirement, on each individual user story, you are going to create your test cases.
Okay.
ठीक है, while you are creating your test cases, parallelly the developers are doing their coding.
Yes.
ठीक है, once the code is ready or once that particular feature is ready, डेवलपर अपन को वो वाला फीचर दे देता है टेस्ट करने के लिए, वो वाला कोड दे देता है टेस्ट करने के लिए, where you are going to execute your test cases. Okay, now I would, if this is confusing, I would again explain. Creating the test cases, you create the test cases on each individual user story, and in parallel, the developer would be developing the code, writing the code for that user story. And once the code is ready, आपका टेस्ट केस इधर से रेडी होता है, उधर से कोड रेडी होता है डेवलपर का. वंस द कोड इज रेडी, यू वुड एग्जीक्यूट दीज टेस्ट केसेस ऑन दिस पीस ऑफ कोड जो डेवलपर ने लिखा है.
Okay.
ठीक है, व्हेन यू एग्जीक्यूट योर टेस्ट केसेस, if you are finding defects, you would be reporting your defects. You report your defects back to the developer, telling the developer that this is not working, yeah, this feature is not working as was described in the requirements. ठीक है, you would not go to the client telling कि यार developer ने देखो ये लिखा था, वो वैसे नहीं चल रहा जैसे आपने बोला था. You would report your defects back to the developer. The developer will go in again into the code, check कि क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, रिक्वायरमेंट से कहाँ मिसमैच हो रहा है. They would then make more changes to the code. They would again give the fresh code or the fixed code back to the testers to execute the test cases again and see whether the defect has been fixed or not.
Okay.
Okay, so you report the defects in a defect tracking tool or in a bug tracking tool, what you say. And Jira is one of those common tools. Jira, Jira. And just reporting the defects is not where the process for the QA would end. It is also very, very important for the QA to track the defects that they have logged until these defects are closed. As what I explained कि आपने टेस्ट केसेस एग्जीक्यूट कर लिया, आपको डिफेक्ट मिला, आपने डेवलपर को डिफेक्ट दे दिया, ठीक है, डेवलपर ने फिक्स किया, डेवलपर वापस जब आपको देगा, आपको फिर से उसको रिग्रेस करना है और चेक करना है कि हाँ क्या मेरा डिफेक्ट अभी जो पहले मैंने दिया था वो अभी भी हो रहा है या अब वो फिक्स हो गया. ठीक है, इट मे प्रोबेबली हैपन दैट इट वुड गो इन साइकिल्स. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक ही बार के अंदर वो फिक्स हो गया, हो सकता है 4-5 आइटरेशंस लगे उसको. डेवलपर ने पहले कुछ फिक्स कर दिया, उसकी वजह से कुछ और फट गया, फिर आपने वो भी ठीक करवाया, आपने नया डिफेक्ट लॉक किया. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस हैज टू बी ट्रैक्ड, एंड फॉर दैट ट्रैकिंग पर्पस यू यूज अ डिफेक्ट ट्रैकिंग टूल. And until all of the defects or the original defect is fixed, the QA is going to track it until that particular issue is closed.
Okay.
Okay, so this is on a very high level the different activities that you carry out on a day-to-day basis when you are testing any application.
Yes.
Okay, any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay, Anand, Priyanka?
No, sir.
All right. Okay, so what I have explained you till now were the things कि अपन क्यों टेस्ट करते हैं, कैसे टेस्ट करते हैं, किस चीज के अगेंस्ट टेस्ट करते हैं. Now these are some of the guru mantras that I am putting here that is going to help you become a pro software tester. Okay, these are things which you would not see happening for all of these freshers who are out there in the market. Okay, this is coming in from my own experience. So the first thing that is very important for you when you land in when you go in for an interview is your practical exposure. Okay, you can take courses on software testing either for free or either for like 399, 499, 599 from Udemy. But what they are going to teach you are the theoretical part of it. You have to for sure get an exposure on the practical side of it, जो आपको मिलेगा when you are working on live and real projects. ठीक है, I have seen a lot of institutes which says कि live project पे काम करवाते हैं हम लोग. What really happens is that they give you Facebook or they give you Google कि यार you have to go in write test cases on Google, you have to write test cases on Facebook. That is what they call the live projects. However, when you go in into a full-fledged course from QAGENIC, you get what happens is that we assign each of the trainees to the real projects that are being worked out from my services department. जहाँ पे मेरी टीम काम कर रही है क्लाइंट के साथ में, I assign you to these projects. You are a part of the team. You work for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. For what amount that particular team is working, you would be going in the client meetings as a observer, as a silent listener. and you would then get a complete view of how the real project works. So that is very important for you to become a pro tester, the getting the practical exposure of the things. Then the second point comes in as a don't remain a fresher. You would see that there are a lot of companies who बोलती हैं कि we are hiring freshers. The big companies like HCL, Wipro, Infosys, इनकी ads निकलती हैं daily basis पे कि हम लोग freshers ले रहे हैं. Then in the news you would see कि यार 2000 Wipro ने 2000 freshers की job निकाली है. ठीक है, अब just imagine you standing in that queue of 2000 folks who says कि हम freshers हैं. You're like cluttered up. 2000 लोग बोले तो आप बोल रहे हो you are in competition with 1999 folks. And to beat that competition, what is it that differentiates you from them? If all of you are a fresher, all 2000 folks standing in that queue are freshers, तो competition is going to be tough. अगर आप बोलते हो कि ठीक है मेरे पास में एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, बट व्हाट आई नो इज what I have already learned from the training sessions is equivalent to 1 year experience in the QA industry, you are automatically distinguishing yourself from those 1999 folks. जो आपका इंटरव्यूअर होगा उसको दिखेगा अच्छा ये सारे के सारे तो कॉलेज पास आउट्स हैं जो इधर आ रहे हैं, और एक ये बंदा आ रहा है जिसने ट्रेनिंग करी है, जिससे मैं क्वेश्चंस पूछ सकता हूँ, जो आंसर कर सकता है मेरे को कि सॉफ्टवेयर टेस्टिंग क्या होती है, डिफेक्ट कैसे लॉक करते हैं, टेस्ट केसेस कैसे लिखते हो. वर्सेस में अगर इधर 1099 लोगों से 1999 लोगों से मैं पूछता हूँ तो वो बोलेंगे कि टेस्ट केसेस क्या होता है, डिफेक्ट क्या होता है. तो गोइंग इन एज प्योर ब्लैंक फ्रेशर्स to any of those job interviews is never going to help you. Go in with knowledge, go in with practical exposure, go in with practical experience, and then see how differently you would be standing in that queue. You would automatically be beating that competition. All right, so let's now assume that you have you went into that interview, you are now selected, you are working as a QA tester in the team. The first thing that you should be knowing when you even before even you start testing your application is that you should understand what the application is. If you're testing, like if you're testing Amazon, you should know कि अच्छा this is the domain, e-commerce domain से आता है, कि करना क्या है इसके अंदर. We will have a lot of job listings, we would have a lot of product listings there. तो एक यूजर आके अपने प्रोडक्ट्स खरीद सकता है. So you should understand the whole purpose of why this application, why this product is being built. And that is how, as a tester, you would be able to apply scenarios. As a customer, तब आप सोचोगे अच्छा कि मैं अगर इस एप्लीकेशन को यूज करता हूँ तो मैं कैसे यूज करूंगा. मैं लॉग इन करूंगा, मैं 10 प्रोडक्ट को सिलेक्ट करूंगा, कार्ट में लेके जाऊंगा, उसमें से 5 प्रोडक्ट में हटा दूंगा, 5 प्रोडक्ट्स को मैं बाई करूंगा, उसके बाद वो माई ऑर्डर्स पे जाएगा. देन ईच ऑर्डर वुड बी देन शिप टू मी इंडिविजुअली. तो मैं उन सबको रिसीव करूंगा, उसमें से 3 प्रोडक्ट को मैं रिटर्न कर दूंगा. ठीक है. सो व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू इज अ कंप्लीट सिनेरियो राइट नाउ. ठीक है. Why I was able to give you this whole complete scenario, because I know how Amazon works, because I have used Amazon myself. ठीक है. जब आप टेस्टर हो, जब आपको एप्लीकेशन मिलती है, when you know your application that well, जैसे अपन Amazon को, फ्लिपकार्ट को जानते हैं, if you also understand the application that you're going to test such in such good manner, you would be able to apply scenarios. ठीक है. Then know the user base, wear multiple hats with any application. Again, let's take the example of Amazon. अपन Amazon कैसे यूज कर रहे हैं? We are using Amazon as end customers. ठीक है. That is one of those roles that Amazon has built. Then the other role could be or is for the shopkeepers or those people who are listing their products on Amazon. ठीक है. That is the second role. Third role is Amazon का एडमिन होगा, जो कि जितने भी प्रोडक्ट्स डल रहे हैं Amazon के अंदर उन सबको वो रिव्यू करते होंगे कि कोई गलत प्रोडक्ट तो नहीं डाल रहा, कोई बहुत ही लो क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट तो नहीं डाल रहा है. ठीक है. दैट वुड बी द थर्ड रोल. मल्टीपल रोल्स होंगे. इसके अलावा आपके पास में डिलीवरी वाले जो आपके पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं, द डिलीवरी और other folks, the e-cart folks, जो delivery provide करते हैं, that is another fourth user for Amazon. So what I want to help you understand here is that with any application that you would be testing, there would be multiple roles that would be associated with that application. So as a tester, when you know this application very well, you would also need to test this application from these different user accesses, from these different user roles. ठीक है, अगर अपन कोई उडेमी वाला ही ले लेते हैं एग्जांपल, एक टीचिंग प्लेटफॉर्म है, दो वेरी प्रोमिनेंट रोल्स वुड बी, वन इज स्टूडेंट, वन इज द इंस्ट्रक्टर. So in that case, what you have to test, how you have to test scenarios is that you log in as an instructor, create an exam, assign that exam to a student. You log out as an instructor. Then you log in as a student. Go to your exams assignments page, see whether that exam is assigned to you or not. Take that exam, see the reports from that exam. Log out as a student, log back in as an instructor, go to that particular student page, see कि उस बच्चे ने exam दे दिया, see the reports, match those reports from what you have downloaded from the student view. Are those reports matching? ठीक है, अभी अपन क्या बोल रहे हैं? Again, what we are doing is we are testing the scenario, end-to-end scenario of this application. And here what we have also done is we have mixed two different roles into one scenario. As a student भी जा रहे हैं अपन, as an instructor भी जा रहे हैं. ठीक है, अब इसी के अंदर एप्लीकेशन के अंदर एक सुपर एडमिन भी हो सकता है जो इन सब इंस्ट्रक्टर्स को क्रिएट करता है, इंस्ट्रक्टर के अकाउंट्स क्रिएट करता है. सो यू हैव टू टेस्ट फ्रॉम दैट सुपर एडमिन एज वेल. तो जितने रोल्स हैं आपके पास में आपके एप्लीकेशन में दैट यू आर टेस्टिंग, यू हैव टू वेयर मल्टीपल हैट्स व्हाइल यू आर टेस्टिंग फॉर दैट पर्टिकुलर रोल, एंड थिंक फ्रॉम दैट एंगल कि अच्छा मैं एज एन इंस्ट्रक्टर अब मैं लॉग इन कर रहा हूँ. So how would that instructor, the end user who is an instructor, how that instructor would be using this application? अगर मैं as a student जा रहा हूँ, how would the student be using it? If I'm going in as an admin, how the admin would be using it? Then apply your scenarios.
Okay.
Then test numerous scenarios. So what I was explaining you is were end-to-end scenarios. ऐसे ऐसे आपके पास में बहुत सिनेरियोज बनते हैं हर एप्लीकेशन के अंदर. ठीक है, सम ऑफ द सिनेरियोज वुड बी लाइक एंड टू एंड, कि एक जगह से शुरू किया एक जगह खत्म हुआ. सम ऑफ द सिनेरियोज वुड बी लाइक यू स्टार्टेड बट यू डिड नॉट एंड एट द एक्चुअल एंड पॉइंट. आपने बीच में से कट कर दिया, कुछ एक शॉर्टकट निकाल दिया. एक एग्जाम, बच्चा एग्जाम दे रहा है, एग्जाम देते हुए ही बीच में इंस्ट्रक्टर ने लॉग इन किया और उसने एग्जाम डिलीट कर दिया. नेगेटिव सिनेरियो, इट कैन हैपन. ठीक है, अब आपने बच्चे को बोला कि आप ये एग्जाम दो, आपका पासिंग परसेंटेज इज 70%. बच्चा अभी एग्जाम दे रहा है 3 घंटे का, इंस्ट्रक्टर बोलता है यार ये तो क्वेश्चन पेपर बड़ा इजी सेट हो गया, लेट मी इंक्रीज द पास परसेंट. उसने पासिंग परसेंट हैज द इंस्ट्रक्टर व्हाइल द एग्जाम इज गोइंग थ्रू, द इंस्ट्रक्टर इज एबल टू चेंज द पास परसेंट फ्रॉम 70 to 90%. अब बच्चे के आगे 89%. द स्टूडेंट वुड बी वेरी हैप्पी एट द एंड ऑफ द एग्जाम, बट ही वुड देन ऑन द रिपोर्ट्स पेज ही वुड सी कि वो तो फेल हो गया, बिकॉज नाउ द न्यू स्कोर, पासिंग स्कोर इज 90%.
90%.
ठीक है, अब दिस इज अ सिनेरियो. अब इस सिनेरियो के अंदर ऐसा भी हो सकता है द एप्लीकेशन शुड नॉट अलाउ द इंस्ट्रक्टर टू चेंज द पास परसेंटेज व्हाइल द एग्जाम इज ऑन. कि एक बार आपने पहले से डिसाइड कर लिया, जो 60-70% जो भी रखते हो आप, एग्जाम एक बार बच्चा ले रहा है, ड्यूरिंग दैट ड्यूरेशन द एग्जाम शुड नॉट, द पासिंग परसेंटेज शुड नॉट बी allowed to be changed. ठीक है, so these are some of the scenarios that you can test, and you would be able to effectively think of these scenarios, apply these scenarios when you know your application, right? And I'll tell you one more fact here which I have not listed down on this slide. जो प्रोसेस रहता है कि आपको रिक्वायरमेंट मिली, आप टेस्ट केसेस लिखते हो, आप टेस्ट केस एग्जीक्यूट करते हो. ठीक है, out of executing, when you execute your test cases, you would only be figuring out or finding out 40% of the defects that are there in this application. And this is an average number. In some of the applications you can like find 30% of defects, in some of the applications you may find 50% defects by executing your test cases. However, the majority percentage of defects that you find out are through applying your own end-to-end scenarios. That is what is known as scenario-based testing. Okay, so when you're executing your requirements, that is known as requirement-based testing. in which you would be very much sticking to the requirements given by the client. जहां आप 30% 40% डिफेक्ट्स ही निकाल सकते हो एप्लीकेशन में. And the other is you are doing scenario based testing, which is going to give you the remaining 60% 70% of the defects in the application. Okay, since we are again talking about here about the numbers, about the percentages, there is another terminology which is known as 99% syndrome. आपको एक एप्लीकेशन में दे देता हूं, आप 100 टेस्टर्स को बिठा लो उस एप्लीकेशन पे, आप टेस्टिंग करवा लो, you would never be able to find 100% of the defects that are there in the application. अब 2 साल वो एप्लीकेशन को टेस्ट कर लो, तब भी there are chances that you will still leave 1% of defects in the application. That is just because of the number of different operating systems, the number of different machines, the number of different configurations that you have now available. You would never be able to complete your testing to 100%. There always will be a room of leaving 1% defects in the application. Right, so moving on, think out of the box.
Okay.
If in the coming few days, I would be giving you guys assignments wherein I would ask you all to test an application. Okay, if all of you are thinking from inside the box, sticking to the requirements and testing this application in a very confined space, all of you are probably going to give me the same defects. However, if you start thinking out of the box, start questioning yourself, why this, why not this? That is how you would be giving me more scenario-based defects, more intuitive, more attractive defects, I would say.
Okay.
अभी जैसे Amazon का मैंने एग्जांपल लिया, एक end-to-end सिनेरियो लिया अपन ने, very much inside the box, very much sticking to the requirements. ठीक है, जब अपन ने एक ये वाला एग्जांपल लिया इंस्ट्रक्टर और स्टूडेंट का, जहां पे अभी स्टूडेंट एक एग्जाम ले रहा है और इंस्ट्रक्टर ने पास परसेंटेज चेंज कर दिया, दैट इज थिंकिंग आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स. ठीक है, एज अ टेस्टर, the last point also is in relation to thinking out of the box. As a tester, you also need to perform negative testing.
Okay.
Okay, so when you are testing an application, you are not just testing an application for its success. You are also ensuring that on the failure cases, how is it that my application is going to respond back to it. ठीक है, error 404 आ गया. अब वो error 404 के, if you guys have seen, there are multiple types of pages that you would be encountering on error 404. One could be a very plain simple page जहाँ error 404 लिख दिया. There are then applications which also make that error 404 page look like यार कितना बढ़िया पेज बनाया है. If you are on Google Chrome, if your internet goes down, you are accessing an application, आपको एक error page दिखता है on which there is a dino game that you can play.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, that is see the scenario there. जरूरत था क्या गूगल को वो करने के लिए, बट गूगल क्या कर रहा है कि आप जब आपका इंटरनेट डिस्कनेक्टेड है, आप कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हो, स्टिल यू आर स्टिकिंग ऑन गूगल क्रोम इटसेल्फ. आपको वो ऑप्शन बहुत कट डाउन करता है कि आप गूगल क्रोम को बंद करो, आप फायरफॉक्स में या आई में जाओ, इंटरनेट एक्सप्लोरर में, एज में जाओ और वहां पे एप्लीकेशन टेस्ट करो. इफ दैट हैपेंस, what would happen कि शुभम ने ट्राई किया गूगल क्रोम पे कुछ काम करते हुए, ही वाज ट्राइंग समथिंग ऑन गूगल क्रोम एंड पीछे से इंटरनेट डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया. सो द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट शुभम वुड डू इज कि गो ऑन अ डिफरेंट ब्राउजर एंड सी कि वहां पे वो एप्लीकेशन चल रही है कि नहीं चल रही है. Meanwhile, पीछे से इंटरनेट चालू हो गया. It was not a problem of Google Chrome or Firefox. It was a problem of internet. अब since Shubham has already shifted from Google Chrome to Firefox, meanwhile that internet is back now, he would still be working now on Firefox. He would say कि यार Chrome पर नहीं चल रहा था यार, ये Firefox पे चल रहा है. However, the core issue was not with the Google Chrome. Now, building the Dino game on Google Chrome is giving Shubham one option or the user one option to still stick to Google Chrome.
Yes, sir.
तो वहां पे खेलना चालू कर दिया. 5 मिनट के बाद भी इंटरनेट चल गया, अपने आप वो साइट वापस लोड हो गई एंड यू गो बैक टू योर वर्क. सो उस केस के अंदर यू आर नॉट शिफ्टिंग फ्रॉम गूगल क्रोम, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू टॉक नेगेटिव अबाउट गूगल क्रोम कि गूगल क्रोम में नहीं चल रहा था या बाकी तो चल रहा था. ठीक है, दिस इज हाउ यू वुड बी थिंकिंग आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स. दिस इज हाउ यू वुड बी अप्लाइंग नेगेटिव सिनेरियोज This is how you would be doing a lot of stuff which is not written in the requirements, but you would be thinking from the user's perspective. You would be putting yourself in the user shoes ki how is that user going to use this application, not on only on the positive scenarios कि application चल रहा है ठीक है, अगर कुछ problem disruption होता भी है तब भी यूजर कैसे उस एप्लीकेशन पे ही रहे, कैसे उस एप्लीकेशन को ही यूज करे। ठीक है, I'm done with this set of examples, but I would give you one very interesting marketing example here.
Okay.
Domino's Pizza. Have we all eaten Domino's Pizza?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, प्रियंका, आनंद।
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, अब what happens is that whenever you either order Domino's Pizza or you go to an outlet of Domino's and take your pizza there, a take away order, पिज्जा तो देंगे आपको व्हाट यू ऑर्डर, उसके साथ में वो आपको ऑरिगेनोस, आपको सीजनिंग, चिली फ्लेक्स इतने ज्यादा दे देते हैं दैट यू वुड नेवर यूज ऑल ऑफ दोस चिली फ्लेक्स। ठीक है, नॉट यूज, नेवर यूज ऑल ऑफ दोस ऑरिगेनोस। व्हाट नॉर्मली कस्टमर डज इसकी, यार बच गया ना ऑरिगेनो, घर ले चलते हैं, या आपने घर पे मंगवाया हुआ है, आप बोलते स्टोर कर लेते हैं इसको, आप अपने एक ड्रॉर में डाल देते हो। अब आपके पास में अब क्या किया है डोमिनोज ने, आपने डोमिनोज का पिज्जा खा लिया, डब्बा फेंक दिया, ऑरिगेनोस के सैशे आपके ड्रॉर्स में पड़े। हफ्ते के बाद में व्हेन यू ओपन दैट ड्रॉर, ऑटोमेटिकली व्हेन यू सी डोमिनोज ना, डोमिनोज का वो सैशे, दैट लोगो ऑफ डोमिनोज दैट पॉप्स अप, ऑफ व्हाट वुड दैट डू इज ट्रिगर द सेम टेस्ट बड्स जब आपने वो डोमिनोज का पिज्जा खाया था, व्हिच गिव्स यू दैट फीलिंग, अरे यार हफ्ता हो गया यार डोमिनोज नहीं खाया, फिर से ऑर्डर करते हैं।
It is a marketing strategy to
That
attract the
is
customer.
that is a marketing strategy. And सोचो आप, वो एक oregano का sachet, it contains like 10 grams of oregano, which is almost like 4 rupees या 8 rupees का sachet होता है, and they give it for free. एक नहीं आप बोलते हो उसने 5 दे दिया, आप बोलते हैं और दे दे, वो खुशी खुशी और दे देगा आपको। What they are actually doing is remarketing, trying to resell the same product to the same customer for repeat business. ठीक है, so this is a marketing strategy. But again, let's think, if we as testers or the business people as only business analysts would have been thinking from the requirements perspective कि Domino's ने बोला, Pizza Hut ने बोला कि we just have to create, we have to prepare pizzas and sell those pizzas, their businesses would not be as huge as they are if we did not had people who would have thought out of the box on providing free sachets of oreganos and chili flakes. ठीक है, अगर सिंपल बोलते कि अपन पिज्जा आए, बंदा आएगा वो बोलेगा कि मेरे को एक ऑनियन पिज्जा चाहिए, आप ऑनियन पिज्जा बनाओगे, दे दोगे, घर जाएगा, अपने आप खाएगा। अब किसी बंदे ने सोचा कि सैशे डाल देते हैं, हफ्ते के बाद में उसको वापस खाने का दिल होगा, he would then see that, he would see the sachet और उसका दिल हो जाएगा खाने का। सोचो, he would use that sachet to put on something that they have prepared at their house। एक ब्रेड पिज्जा अगर घर पे बनाया है या मैगी बनाई है, उस पे डालते हैं, तो that would trigger the same taste buds और वो लोग वापस ऑर्डर करेंगे। So these all scenarios, marketing scenario ho, testing scenario ho, these all are scenarios which are thought out of the box. So as a tester, one activity that I want you guys to start doing from today itself is start questioning everything that you see around yourself. ठीक है, I see कि आनंद के बैकग्राउंड के अंदर I can see that ceiling fan is rotating. Question yourself, you probably may already know कि क्यों एक मेरा सीलिंग फैन जो है वो क्लॉकवाइज डायरेक्शन में चलता है, why doesn't it go anti clockwise? ठीक है, there is logic behind it. लॉजिक भी ढूंढना, ऐसा नहीं है कि हर हर चीज को क्वेश्चन करने बैठ गए, लॉजिक भी ढूंढो कि क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है। ठीक है, आई सी प्रियंका के पीछे एक कर्टन है, वो कर्टन थोड़ी सी लाइट ब्लॉक कर रहा है, थोड़ी सी लाइट ब्लॉक नहीं कर रहा है, वाई सो, क्या थ्रेड का काउंट क्या है उसके अंदर, if I would have increased the thread count तो क्या होता। when I go in hotels, वहां पर मेरे पास में जो curtains होते हैं, they would block out the light like 100% or at least 98%. What is the difference between this curtain versus that curtain? What if I bring those curtains home? ठीक है, question each and everything that you see around you. What is that going to do is it will open up your mindset on thinking out of the box. And that is how you are going to stand outside of that 2000 wala queue, when you question yourself, when you have that mindset, when you go into those negative scenarios, आप अलग सोचना चालू करोगे. ठीक है. One activity that I would like to give you guys, and which we would be discussing tomorrow morning before we start our session, is on a very very simple thing. I have a pen here, very basic Reynolds का pen, 5 रुपए 4 रुपए का pen. I want you guys to think of scenarios on how you can test this pen. Okay, this is a very normal question that I ask during the interviews that I take, but I give them very limited time. और आप लोगों को मैं पूरा एक दिन का टाइम दे रहा हूँ. But what I want you guys is not to come back tomorrow and give me scenarios कि मैं इसका कैप खोलूंगा, मैं इसको लिख कर देखूंगा कितना स्मूथ लिखा जा रहा है, क्या ये होल्ड करने में ठीक है कि नहीं है. ब्लू कलर का पेन है तो ब्लू कलर का ही इसकी इंक होनी चाहिए. आई डोंट वांट यू गाइस टू गिव मी सच सिनेरियोस. Since now you guys have 24 hours to think of all negative, all scenario based test cases that you can apply on testing this particular pen. ठीक है. Not just this pen, आप लोगों के पास में जो भी पेन है. ठीक है. नेगेटिव, जितना एक्सट्रीम जाना एक्सट्रीम जाओ. ठीक है. योर टेस्ट केसेस में pass, your test cases may fail. We are not worried about the result. We are concerned here about how you would think on testing that pen. ठीक है. आप सबसे 5 सिनेरियोस चाहिए मेरे को.
Okay.
ठीक है. और लेट्स डू इट. ऐसा करते हैं. इट वुड बी मोर ऑफ चीटिंग इफ वी वुड बी डिस्कसिंग दीज सिनेरियोस टुमारो. यू गाइस हैव माय नंबर फ्रॉम द व्हाट्सएप, ऑन द व्हाट्सएप चैनल. आप मेरे को इंडिविजुअली अपने अपने 5 सिनेरियोस आज रात तक डाल दो मेरे व्हाट्सएप पे. 5 सिनेरियोस ईच. ठीक है. देन वी विल बी टुमारो डिस्कसिंग दीज 5 सिनेरियोस. So moving ahead in the interest of time, so when we talk about software testing, it's not very much limited to just testing this application that we have in hand. There are a lot of fields that you can actually go in and expertise yourself into these fields. The first and the foremost thing is the manual testing, wherein आप application को खोलते हो अपने आप अपने mouse clicks ये वो करके you are testing this application. That is the manual testing, which is the basic, the first and the foremost stepping stone for you to get into software testing. Then comes the automation testing, which is basically an automated version of what you do manually. And you use tools like Selenium, and then the scripting languages like Java, not scripting languages, programming languages like Java or Python or any other like C# भी हो सकता है, Ruby भी हो सकता है, to automate your manual test cases. So wherein you were taking like 40 hours in executing these test cases manually, you would only take like 40 minutes here when you're doing it through automation. Then you have performance testing. अपन एप्लीकेशंस खोलते हैं, अपन कोई एप्लीकेशन चलाते हैं, कोई वेबसाइट चलाते हैं, अपन बोलते हैं कितना स्लो लोड हो रहा है यार ये. So in a way you have already done a performance test there. But when you do it more professionally, there that whole field is known as performance testing. There are a number of tools like JMeter, LoadRunner that are available for you to do performance testing. Then you have API testing, which is as of now, on today's date, this is one of the hot cakes or the hot selling jobs that you have in the market on APIs, on API testing. So API testing is like on a very, very high level. You have the front end, you have the back end. Okay, front end is the UI that you see, back end is the database, जहाँ पे आपका सारा data store हो रहा है. API sits in between. API is your application programming interface that uses the inputs that you give from the UI to process them and take it back to the database. Okay. But what happens with API is कि आपके पास में आपका UI अभी develop नहीं हुआ. You would not see what is happening on the browser. You have your APIs developed and then you have the database. तो आप डायरेक्ट आप अपने मिडल लेयर पे API लेयर पे आके टेस्टिंग कर सकते हो. You can test the logics there. So that is what is API in a very, very high level. Database testing is
it's like a GUI, graphical user interface type.
GUI is the UI. GUI is the UI जो front end है आपका.
Okay.
API is a middleware जो आपका UI और database के बीच में बैठता है. जहाँ
सर
पे आपका सारा
GUI में
लॉजिक
तो यही
होता है।
होता है कि बीच में ग्राफिकल यूजर इंटरफेस रहता है, कस्टमर रहता है, कस्टमर एक्सेस करता है इन्फॉर्मेशन, वो कहीं ना कहीं उठ के डेटा के पास जाती है, डेटा को वापस आती है एंड देन फिर कम्युनिकेट होता है।
I did not get that. I did not get that. थोड़ा सा स्लो बोलो, बहुत जल्दी बोल दिया आपने।
सर एक्चुअली GUI में यही होता है कि एक वन साइडेड कस्टमर होता है, बीच में एक यूजर इंटरफेस होता है, यूजर एक्सेस करता है इन्फॉर्मेशन को कि मुझे ये इन्फॉर्मेशन चाहिए, वो इन्फॉर्मेशन उठ के डेटा के पास जाती है, फिर वहां से कॉल होती है देन फिर कम्युनिकेट होता है, तो दैट इज ग्राफिकल यूजर इंटरफेस। तो उसी
देखो
टाइप
there
से
are
है क्या, ये अलग है?
exactly, देखो there are two ways of how you are building an application. One way that you explained, one is the front end, the GUI, the graphical user interface, or the UI, the user interface, or whatever you want to call it. This is the front end that is visible
ओके।
to the customers. Okay, that is a very important layer to have. You cannot have an application that you put down into the live environment without having a UI to it. ठीक है, एक UI है जो जैसे आपने एक्सप्लेन किया, दिस UI is directly talking to the database, to the backend. ठीक है, that is one way of doing it. है ऐसी एप्लीकेशंस हैं, ठीक है, बट व्हाट हैपेंस इसकी आपके यूआई के अंदर कुछ चेंज आपको करना है, यू हैव टू शट डाउन द कंप्लीट एप्लीकेशन। आपकी
ओके।
एप्लीकेशन आप 2 महीने 3 महीने के लिए बंद हो जाएगी इफ यू हैव टू मेक एनी चेंजेस इन द यूआई। तो उसके चक्कर में क्या करते हैं, अपन एक एपीआई बना देते हैं, एक और लेयर बीच में बनाते हैं जहां पे सारा लॉजिक आपका बैठा है। अगर अपन जो 2+2 का एग्जांपल ले रहे थे, तो 2+2 आप फ्रंट एंड पे यहाँ पे डाल रहे हो, जो वो प्लस होना है, वो प्लस का सारा एल्गो इज ऑन द एपीआई, इट्स ऑन द लॉजिकल लेयर, दैट इज व्हाट द एपीआई इज। तो अब आपका 2+2 आपको ब्लैक फॉन्ट में दिखाना है, व्हाइट फॉन्ट में दिखाना है, ब्लू फॉन्ट में दिखाना है, दैट वुड बी कंट्रोल्ड थ्रू द यूआई। वो 2 आप बड़ा दिखाओ, छोटा दिखाओ, काला दिखाओ, नीला दिखाओ, 2+2 is always going to give you an output of 4. That plus that logic is on the API. ठीक है, अब वो API का ना, what advantages you get from API is, you guys have seen when you go into a new application, try to log in, you would see there are options of you to sign in through Google, Facebook, Twitter, अलग अलग आपको बटन्स मिलते हैं, these are Google APIs, Facebook APIs that helps you log in into the application. So as a user, what advantage we get is that मेरे को एक नया अकाउंट बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है, मेरे को एक नया पासवर्ड याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है। I can use my same Google account to integrate my login authentication with that particular application. So with APIs, what happens is, the advantage that you get is, आप एक API एक बार लिख देते हो, वो API को you can reuse on multiple application, multiple number of times. You don't have to write the same login page का कोड बार बार। आपने एक गूगल का एपीआई बना दिया है, वही यूज करते चलो, हर जगह आपका चल रहा है। गूगल मैप्स, यू कैन यूज गूगल मैप्स एज एन एपीआई। जोमैटो है, जैसे आपके पास में जेप्टो है, ब्लिंकिट है, जो जहां पे मैप्स यूज कर रहे हैं, दे डोंट क्रिएट देयर ओन मैप्स, they don't have their own satellites to launch that would be navigating their delivery partners. Rather they use maps which are already available, वो उसका API उठाते हैं, अपने एप्लीकेशन के साथ में इंटीग्रेट करते हैं, they are good to go.
ओके।
Right, so then we have the database testing that we were talking, the back end, जहाँ पे सारा डेटा स्टोर होता है। तो ये डेटाबेस टेस्टिंग के अंदर, you ensure that the data that you have that you input in this databases is inputting correctly, it is getting stored correctly when you're fetching data from these databases, वो जैसे आपने fetch किया वो वैसा ही fetch कर रहा है। So that is all about database, again a very huge field, database testing. Then comes the sixth stream here, that is accessibility testing. For people with disabilities, people who are blind, people who are color blind, people who cannot hear, even for those set of people who are from the specially abled category, applications are developed in a manner that they can use it as good as people with all the abilities. So that is what all comes under accessibility. There are a huge number of compliances. इंडिया के अंदर इतना एक्सेसिबिलिटी टेस्टिंग का अभी तक जोर नहीं है, बट व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट द यूएस मार्केट, यूएस गवर्नमेंट हैज मेड इट वेरी वेरी कंपल्सरी फॉर ईच एंड एवरी एप्लीकेशन दैट इज डेवलप्ड इन द यूएस has to have all the standards that are listed down for the accessibility test, for the accessibility testing side of it. एंड देन द कंटेंट टेस्टिंग, सो जितनी आपके पास में एप्लीकेशंस है, जितना आपको उस पर टेक्स्ट दिखता है, जितने आपको वीडियोस दिखते हैं, जितना आपको मीडिया दिखता है, दैट ऑल इज कंटेंट। वो कंटेंट की टेस्टिंग इन इटसेल्फ इज अ वेरी ह्यूमंगस टास्क। ये कंटेंट टेस्टिंग होनी चाहिए। Then the mobile app testing, again, a very uh, uh, like a hot cakes these days. Again, आपके हाथ में सारी दुनिया है. I see Anand and Shubham, probably you guys are joining this session from phone, and even I think Priyanka. I am just guessing it because of the screen resolution that I see you guys on. हाथ में फोन है तो आपके पास में you are like carrying the whole world with you right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
इतनी एप्लीकेशंस हैं जो आपको मतलब probably down the line, five years down the line, even these laptops would be obsolete. हर चीज अपन फोन से टैबलेट से ही कर लेंगे. Why would then we be carrying any big bulky laptops with us? ठीक है, मोबाइल एप्लीकेशंस इतना आज के दिन ट्रेंड में है. हर चीज मोबाइल ऐप है. ठीक है, so mobile application testing again becomes one of those big hot cakes these days. That is like you have to be very well versed when you're testing the mobile applications. So the reason why I had to put this slide here was to help you understand ki when you get down into software testing, you go down as a manual tester. You start your career as a manual tester. So you get to understand all of these fields inside out yourself, rather than me or anybody else guiding you कि यार प्रियंका आपको ना परफॉर्मेंस टेस्टिंग करना चाहिए, आनंद आपको एपीआई करना चाहिए. Once you have experience in manual testing for 3 months, 4 months, you yourself then take a decision कि what is the field that I want to go ahead with. ठीक है, manual testing in itself is a good field. You will have you can find manual testing as your like go to thing. ठीक है, मैं जिंदगी में manual testing करूंगा या करूंगी. बट इफ यू हैव एनी अदर इंटरेस्ट कि आपको कोडिंग में इंटरेस्ट है, तो ऑटोमेशन में भी योर चॉइस. अगर आप बोलते हो कि नहीं कोडिंग में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, तो आप एपीआई उठा सकते हो, डेटाबेस उठा सकते हो, एक्सेसिबिलिटी उठा सकते हो. सो दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू वुड जजिंग योरसेल्फ व्हेन यू हैव सम एक्सपीरियंस इन मैनुअल टेस्टिंग. Okay, so now we have the forum open for any questions that you have from today's session.
No, sir, right now. Not.
Okay, I think we already took those questions in between the session. All right, so for tomorrow, again, I would be repeating that you guys have to think of scenarios out of the box for this pen and sending me, you guys have to send those scenarios to me on WhatsApp. You have my number on WhatsApp, and we will be discussing these tomorrow before we start our journey ahead on day 2. All right,
Okay.
sounds great.
Yes.
Exciting.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, डिफरेंट
Thank you,
चाहिए,
sir.
बहुत
Thank
डिफरेंट
you, sir,
चाहिए.
for your session.
No problem, Shubham. I want you guys to succeed. ठीक है, from these 5 days scenarios, I want you guys to come to that level जहाँ पे you are like beating the competition altogether. ठीक है, from
Sure.
there I would leave up to you guys कि आपको आगे कैसे वो जर्नी को कंटिन्यू करना है. ठीक है, I want to congratulate you guys that you have taken this first step जहाँ you are showing your seriousness towards yourself getting into a IT or to a QA into a QA job. ठीक है, अब 5 दिन मेरे साथ में आप बिताओ और let's take it from like the day 1 to day 5. From day 1 to day 5, let me take you to becoming a pro tester, starting think कि अच्छा ये ऐसे करते हैं, ये वैसे करते हैं. Your family members, your relatives, people around you, in those after those 5 days now, they should feel like कि these are changed faces, these are changed personalities. Like शुभम 5 दिन पहले ऐसा नहीं था, प्रियंका नहीं, आनंद नहीं. They started thinking differently. ठीक है, चाहे वो नेगेटिव हो, चाहे आपको घर वालों से थोड़ा सा सुनने को मिले, बट दैट इज गोइंग टू बी योर measurement of the success that you will be getting out of this 5 days workshop.
Okay.
ठीक है, so the first and the first assignment that you guys have is on this pen. सोचो, negative scenario सोचो, out of the box scenario सोचो. Don't worry about that test case getting passed or failed. It could be disastrous, it could be a very successful test case.
Okay.
Socho, question everything about the around yourself. Start opening up your mindset. Start thinking from that tester's ability. Why this? Why not this? How would I test this? Okay, what happened one time when I was at a very initial career, very initial phase of my career, I am very fond of watching cricket. I lost all my interest when I was watching cricket on a television. And what I started doing is कि जो नीचे scoreboard आता है, my whole attention was on that scoreboard. कोहली ने मारा चौका. How much time did that person sitting behind that screen took to update the score? Was it 2 seconds or was it 3 seconds? How many times in that 50 over game, how many times did that person make error in updating it? मारा चौका, बढ़ा दिए 5 रन, फिर वापस 1 रन पीछे लेके आया. It was a wide, which was shown as a dot ball. Then it was again reverted back to showing as wide ball. Then the scoreboard increased. Okay, so make yourself think from that angle. How, if I, because that scoreboard is is more of an application that you see comes on the TV screens. If that is an application, if that is a software, it has to be tested. And if you are a tester, how are you going to ensure that ये 50 over के अंदर there are no mistakes that are going to happen on that scoreboard? ऐसे सोचना चालू करो. Think, question everything that you see around yourself. ये पंखा ऐसे क्यों चल रहा है, ऐसे क्यों नहीं चल रहा, एक बार मैंने बंद किया वापस चालू किया, ये उल्टा क्यों नहीं चलता है? ठीक है, question everything.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है, चलो, then let's meet tomorrow. I will leave you guys here with the thought, with the assignment of thinking on these scenarios of pen, and then we'll be waiting for you guys to sending out these scenarios to me. All right then, guys, see you tomorrow then. Have a nice Saturday. Enjoy.
Good day, sir.
All right,
Good day,
thank you so much. You
Good
too.
day, everyone.
All right, guys, bye bye.